Hello and welcome to the Pharmacy Seeds Network. This is our Sunday night All Things Natural net. This is an amateur radio net hosted via amateur radio by yours truly. My call sign is KD2IIN. I'm an amateur radio operator here in the Hudson Valley, and this net is run over the repeater. This is to facilitate communications between people in our club and people in the Hudson Valley about all things natural, anything related to farming and gardening and nature and conservation and that sort of stuff. So those of you who don't know, that's what this is. I've had people ask if this is CB. It is not CB. This is amateur radio. A little bit different. Similar concept, but different. EOR Homestead, welcome. Haven't seen you in here before. Thanks for coming along. YTFP, hello. Geeky Gardens, Chris Jarvis, how are you guys? And it's 9 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and light this net right off immediately, and we'll get started. We'll see if there's anyone on tonight. I don't know if there will be. It might be a quiet night tonight. This was Amateur Radio Field Day weekend, and I think most of the people in our club are probably pretty tired and ready to crash out, but we'll give it a shot. Hello, bees and bikinis. Thanks for coming in. Happy Sunday to you too. Happy Sunday to everyone. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. The Sunday Night All Things Natural Net is an amateur radio net provided to the amateur radio community via the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club repeater here on 146.805 megahertz with a PL tone of 103.5 and a negative shift of 600 kilohertz. This net will break for any emergency or priority traffic. And this net is basically to facilitate good communication about farming, gardening, and all things natural and soil and environmental conservation related. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's see if there's anybody left over from Field Day that still wants to participate in a net. This is KD2IIN looking for check-ins for the Sunday night All Things Natural Net. Sounds good, Geeky.
This is...
Hey, there's KD2RFI.
KD2RFI. Morning, evening, afternoon, evening, where we're at.
Bob, I haven't talked to Bob in a while.
KD2KJU. Jed, West Hurley. I kind of like the good morning thing as well, but I'll go with good evening, I guess.
There's Jed. KD2KJU. Hello, Bomber. Welcome.
KD2TQS. Ken Rhinebeck.
KD2TQS. Well, it's looking to be a good lineup already. So far we have KD2RFI Bob, KD2KJU Jed, and KD2TQS. Good to hear all three of you gentlemen. Let's just see if there's anyone else before we get started. If there's any further check-ins for the net, please call now.
K2BHM.
And there's Jim.
KD2SPT.
Matt. Wow. This is turning out to be more traffic than I expected. Fantastic. We have Jim, K2BHM, and Matt, KB2SBT. Good to hear both of you as well. I guess we'll just give one more shot here to make sure we didn't miss anybody, and then we'll get started. Any further check-ins, please call now. Ah, you didn't stutter, Yicky. Tech stutter. Alright, very good. Well, it sounds like that's the extent of the check-ins for now, so let's go ahead to the top of the list and get started. Bob, KD2RFI, good to hear from you. Haven't heard from you in a couple weeks. I imagine you've been busy with bees in summer, and hopefully you've got some skydiving in. I don't know if you've had a chance to do that, but I guess we'll turn it over to you and find out. KD2RFI, it's up to you.
KD2RFI, good evening, everyone. Yeah, no, I've been, I don't even think I've even picked up this radio in a week or two at least. So
Yes,
it's
you're
been
okay.
pretty busy trying to catch up on stuff around here. Hasn't been too awful busy with the bees. I've had a lot of swarms go out for the swarm season, which is pretty much wound down at this point.
Okay.
But I, well, I
Call's good if you
shouldn't
make
say
it
shouldn't
right.
have them go out. I've had a lot of swarms go out, but I've had very few go within reach. They all this year seem to be going really high. I did catch a swarm in a swarm trap in my backyard, which is probably 150 yards away from the apiary. Nice. I don't think it was one of mine. I think it was actually a wild colony, which was pretty interesting. So that's a good thing. We got something else to set up on. I put honey supers on. I think I did that 2 or 3 weeks ago. I got to put some more supers on. I do got to get into one of the hives, check and make sure it's clean right. I'm not really sure, but been so busy around here with doing everything else. As for the skydiving, yes, I did get out. I only did a couple jumps so far, and just enough to recertify my license. On a sad note, I saw in the media today, my sister called me. She was worried that I was out and about. Evidently, I understand they lost somebody today. Don't know exactly what happened, but it was a tragic accident, and I really don't know any more than that. Other than that, I'm thankful for the rain that's finally come. It's been really dry, and we've had a couple days of rain, so a couple storms. I can't say really days, but a couple storms of rain, so hopefully things will start turning green and getting the gardens pumping. Hey, KD2 RFI, back to that.
All right, very good. Well, sounds like things have been busy for you, and that's good. And I'm really sorry to hear about the tragic accident down the airport there. It's sad, but there are inherent risks in that sort of thing. I know you said that happens very rarely, but boy, when it's happened, it's awfully sad for everyone involved. So my heart and prayers go out to those people. I'm glad to hear your bees are doing well. Yeah, had a couple of good swarms happen here. That one hive that was queenless, that we put the queen cell supers on with, I could have sworn a few weeks ago when I looked in there I saw a brood being laid, and then more recently when I checked it, there was nothing in there, no queen, no new brood being laid. So I ended up combining that with the first swarm that I captured, which was starting to accelerate but wasn't thriving yet, and I figured that would boost up their population and all. So far it looks like that's been successful, so I'm excited about that. And then the second swarm that I caught is thriving. I've already put a second super on, and I have to get ready to put a third super on for catching honey, because they're just super productive. But I don't want to hang the net up here, so I'm going to roll down the list and we'll come back to this. So this is KD2 and Net Control for the Sunday night All Things Natural Net. We're going to roll on down to our next check-in. KD2, KJU, Jed, how are you this evening?
KJU. Good evening.
Yeah, we'll get in
and,
touch, bees and
everybody else
bikinis.
on the net.
We'll hook it up afterward.
Doing well this evening. Went to field day a little. Well, I would have liked to got there yesterday, but
I wish you could call in. Oh, by radio is the only
stuff
way.
happening.
Sorry.
But Guy was nice enough to
honey.
pick me up, K2TLF, and get me over there. He's a neighbor, and we both found out that we had mutual friends around, which was it's always a nice thing to connect with other people and everything like that. But yeah, I spent a bit of time at field day. I got to see some neat antennas and stuff like that. But I was definitely interested in what it sounds like I'm hearing is out of the bee colony that queens go out and start
Hey, Justin.
their own nest somewhere else, and then you try to get them and bring them back. Is that what I'm hearing? I don't want to hold up the net with that, but it was just very interesting to me. Back to that KD2 KJU.
All right. Sounds like you got to see field day. That's awesome. I'd made it down there myself very briefly. And in fact, that reminds me, I got some video editing to do. I did get some video clips of the 2020 summer field day setup. On the bees, we're not necessarily holding the net. This definitely pertains to the net. So honeybees typically swarm out when their nest gets too crowded, more often in the spring. And when they do that, they basically raise a new queen up, and one of the queens leaves with a portion of the colony, and the other queen stays with the other portion of the colony. And the queen that leaves goes out, they fly out and they kind of stand off of the nest for a bit, and then they send scouts out to go find a more suitable location. And so you can catch them during that cycle and drop them into a bucket or into a sheet and put them into a hive, and if they accept the hive that you put them into, now you've captured a new colony of bees. So that's how that works, Jed. And we can come back to more questions on that on the next round. I just want to carry on down the list here for now, though. But that's the basics of how that works. So let's roll on down to KD2 TQS Ken. This is KD2 IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. Excuse me.
KD2 TQS.
Oh, good, Justin. That'll serve you well.
Relaxing after enjoying sporadic visits on the periphery of field day. I cannot participate directly in it, but I was up there getting some photos and had some fun setting up a mini nature trail for them because Steve wanted those 5 edible plants.
Oh, that's
I
right.
am very aggressive on social
Forget about
distancing
that.
for health reasons in my household. I went back to my earlier days and just put some cards in some Ziploc bags and attached them to 10 plants for them and said, there you go, look for the yellow cards. That was fun. It's just fun to be back out in nature again. That's all I have. Back to now.
All right, thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. And yeah, actually, Neil and I saw the bags with the labels, and it completely slipped my mind that you guys were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. So that's awesome that you did that. And we did see it, and we were like, yeah, those are correctly labeled on the right plants and all. And I wonder where that's from. And it completely slipped my mind until you just said something now. So that's awesome. That worked out. And yeah, sounds like field day was quite a hit. So that's awesome. I wish I had more time to get down there myself. My visit was pretty brief. All right, let's roll on down to Jim, K2 BHM.
Thanks, CJ. KWBHM here. Yeah, just had a nice, enjoyable weekend, seeing everybody and hanging out on field day and helping out and so forth. Good group of guys, and just really enjoy getting out and being with them. That's about it. That kind of preoccupied the last 3 days. KWBHM.
Sounds good. Yeah, I know you always help support those events, and that's greatly appreciated. And I know you said earlier on the Daily Net that you got some pictures, so we'll look forward to seeing those as well. So fantastic. All right, let's roll on down to Matt, KB2 SBT. Haven't heard you on the radio in a while. Glad to have you along.
KB2 SBT, and before I go any further, Deanna says hi. She's yelling in the background. Anyways,
Hello, Deanna.
time today to go into the apiary and check some things out. Some questions we had hanging from last time I was out there. There was 2 hives that were a little questionable, and we confirmed that we do have a new queen in one, and that makes sense because we did have one more swarm. Unfortunately, this one went high, and we weren't able to capture it. The other hive we went into, it does look like that one is queenless. So right now the count is 7 that are queen right, looking good, and one that we may have to move some brood over or get a queen at this point. It's starting to get into mid-season here. So other than that, things are doing good. Back to net, KB2SBT.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, 7 out of 10 for solid is that's a good run. And sounds like you'd be able to plink another 1 or 2 in there for success. Yeah, I was thinking like, man, we're starting to get late in the season. I don't really want to buy a queen, and I don't really want to wait for one. So that's why I combined that one hive, and I think that's going to work out in a good way from all perspectives. So that's fantastic. All right, let's just take a pause here and see if there's any further check-ins. This is KD2 IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. We're looking for any further check-ins. Please call now. Alright, no further check-ins recognized at this time. Let's roll back to the top of the list with KD2 RFI. Bob.
KD2 RFI. Yeah, not a whole lot more going on here. I guess just a lot of firewood. I am, like I said, I've got to put on another set of honey supers on top of the hives, and hopefully I'm looking harvest. With the rain coming and getting the flowers blooming and producing again, hopefully things will rebound back. The bees have been, fairly active. Like I said, I got to check the one hive. I think it was a split I did. I really should take better notes. I think it'd be easy to remember these things, but I think it was a split I did. Pretty much a walk-away split and hope for the best, and just make sure they're both queen right, the one I took the split from and the one I split. So take a look at that, make sure they're all good, get some more honey supers on, and let them do their thing. They've been really active. All the hives look well, judging by how they're going in and out of the front entrance. They seem to be doing good. Still, the best hive I have is one of those wild colonies I cut out of a house about 2 or 3 years ago. The thing is just busting. I mean, they've been bearded out the front all summer long. I already put 2 honey supers on them to try and make room. I'm almost tempted to put a third one on, but they just got a ton of bees in there. It's really a wicked laying queen.
That's awesome.
So everything's looking good there. Egg production, one other thing with the chickens.
Oh, yeah.
Egg production, I think it's up, but yet the eggs I'm collecting is down. So if you figure that one out. I was kind of wondering what was going on for a while, but the other day I found 2 black snakes floating around. So it's good and bad. It's bad. They eat the eggs out of the chicken coop. Don't really seem to bother the chickens much. The good news is they do keep the rats and mice away. So be it. If a little security costs me a couple eggs a day, they can have it. They're doing all right. And it seems like they're living right in the chicken coop. They're burying themselves right down in the bedding, which was pretty interesting. I didn't even know they did that. But other than that, that's about it. KD2R5, back to net control.
Very good, Bob. That's interesting. Snakes, huh? I would not have suspected it would be snakes stealing the eggs. I was going to ask if maybe you had a rat. Funny you mentioned that. I just trapped a rat, a pretty large rat, in the Have-A-Heart trap here this last week, and a couple of baby woodchucks as well. So dealt with them. But that made me think of that. But if you got snakes, then you don't have rats and mice in there. And I think I'd rather have a couple of snakes and let them have a few eggs than have rats and mice everywhere, because man, they're just nuisance to the max. So that's awesome. And yeah, that colony you pulled out of the house sounds awesome. That sounds like my second swarm capture that's here. I'm just amazed at the traffic and how fast they're filling frames. I put a new box on last week, and like 5 days later, I think it was, I took a look in there, and 4 out of those 8 frames were completely full of bees already, and they were drawing comb and putting hunt. They were just going gangbusters. So great to see that. Yeah, I did notice things seem to slow down just a bit with the drier weather. Now that we've had the rain, I'm seeing a pickup in traffic again, and pollen resources and that sort of stuff coming in. So I'm noticing similar things. All right, let's roll on down to Jed, KD2, KJU. This is KD2 and Net Control for the Sunday night All Things Natural Net. Yes, it'll burn or itch. Chris.
Ken, thank you for putting up those labels. I read them. I didn't notice them at first, and I happened to just be walking around the site and checking stuff out, and I wasn't sure what it was at first, so I went to look, and I learned something, and it was great. So, that's always a good thing. I was really happy about...
Gotcha, bees and bikinis. Hey, Gemini.
I definitely... I definitely was, I did learn something from, I knew what, all of them were except for, one plant that I obviously can't remember now, but I was interested to see that I could eat, the cattails, because I had no clue. I'd seen people do it before, and I just thought it was, I'll stay away from that. But yeah, that was good to know, and especially from a reliable source. I'm definitely interested in the beekeeping. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago I spent a summer up on Cape Cod, and the place that I stayed in Eastham was She was a landscaper and had 5 hives, I think, set up there. And, you know, my little cottage was maybe 20 feet away from them. And at first, you know, I've been around wasps, not bees so much my whole life. Drop real quick. And, you know, at first I was like, oh, I don't know about that. And the more and more I stayed there, I, you know, learned to really love them and enjoy seeing them every morning. It was a good time, and people would come over there, and she would pick them up and give them arthritis treatment. The bee would sting them in their knuckles or elbows or wherever they happened to have issues with arthritis and stuff like that. You know, and I got to be a part of, I can't think of the name now, but it was I want to call it a strainer, but basically it was a big crank that you put 3 of the shells, I'm sure I'm not using the correct terms, but 3 of the shells of honey in, and you spun it around and the honey came out, and
Extractor.
yeah, I thought it was a really fun time. Bottled a lot of honey. I got to see a lot of the process. And it was a lot of fun for me. And I would like to do that, except for every time I look at prices of beehives and stuff like that,
It's expensive.
Seems to be pretty high up there.
Yep.
But I will send it. I also can't do woodworking, so I should say that. But yeah, I'll send it back to Net, KD2KJU.
Alright, this is KD2I, Net Control for the Sunday Net, All Things Natural Net. Yeah, Jed, I feel the same way about the bees. I've always loved them, but I've really come to enjoy them, getting to be so close to them and study and monitor and watch and interact with them. And the more I do that, the more in love I fall with them. Yeah, you're talking about an extractor, and the shells that you were talking about are frames of honey. But yeah, that's an awesome experience and process, and I'm glad you got to enjoy that. But I will say, boy, you sure do pick some expensive hobbies. Amateur radio and beekeeping are probably 2 of some of the most expensive hobbies you could get into. But boy, they really are good ones. So I hope you're able to find some beehive equipment. You might check in with the Hudson Valley Bee Supply locally there and see if they come across anybody who has used equipment or some hives they want to sell. You might be able to get a little bit of a deal on something if you're looking and watching and kind of waiting. Just a thought. I don't know, Bob or Matt might have other ideas for you as well. All right, let's roll on down to KD2 TQS. Ken.
KD2 TQS. Nothing further other than a question for control. Have you tried any Moxie yet?
Moxie. I have not. Sadly, things have been so busy I haven't had a chance to get back to any of that stuff that we discussed, but it is still on my list. So thank you for the question, and thank you for the reminder, because it's easy for me for things to slip through the cracks this time of year. It's a busy time of year for me, but thanks for the reminder, Ken. I greatly appreciate it. All right, let's roll on down to Jim, K2BHM. Forgot all about that.
Thanks, CJ. KJBHM here.
Wow.
Not really much to add. Just reading the mail and enjoying the topics. KJBHM.
Moxie Soda, that's right. All right, very good, Jim. We're glad you're along for the ride with us and participating and enjoying the conversation. All right, let's roll on down to Matt, KB2 SBT. We'll do another
Thanks,
check-in
CJ,
opportunity.
KB2 SBT. My wife Deanna says she'd take the rats or the mice over the black snakes. So I'm undecided on that. KB2 SBT, back to that.
Yes, and I meant to say hello to Deanna before. I said hello in the stream, but not via radio. So hello, Deanna, and I'll trade you. I'll take the black snakes if you'll take the rats and the mice. All right, let's see if there's any further check-ins, and then we'll run back through the rotation. This is KD2 IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. right, I guess that's a no. So we're back at the top of the list with KD2 RFI.
KD2 RFI. I'm actually quite amazed at how many
Jim.
people hate snakes. It's very funny. I grew up with a 7-foot boa constrictor, so it was, I mean, for me, snakes are second nature. Always lived by ponds and in the woods and everything else, so snakes and all other, creatures walking, crawling, or slithering around never really bothered me too much. One of the most fearless guys I knew, though, wasn't afraid to do anything. He was afraid of snakes. So, which I found out when I told him to drive my car after I caught believe it or not, I caught a timber rattler down in Napanock. Yeah, he wasn't too impressed, so I ended up letting it go, but it was pretty funny.
Thanks,
anyway, as for the beehives, inexpensive way to do it, just if you're interested in starting up, keep a look on Craigslist or
there you go.
I think that Let Go app or Facebook Marketplace, stuff like that. Quite often, as many people get involved in bees and they get out of it real quick if they don't have good results right away. And there's always equipment for sale. There's always equipment. So take your time, be choosy, be picky, find clean equipment, and pay the price that you want to pay for. Don't let them talk you up the price or whatever, because as long as you got patience and time, you'll eventually find the right price. But Hudson Valley Bee Supply is a great resource to go to, looking for anything like that. And definitely beekeeping, like any other hobby, like ham radio, is very expensive. So that's why I do the beekeeping, I do the ham radio, and I decided to do skydiving too, because I figured, hey, what the heck, skydiving's not that cheap, so might as well do that. And CJ, I'll probably be coming over your way a little more often. I think a little north of you. I think next year I'm probably going to start taking flying lessons. I just kind of figured I learned how to jump out of them, might as well learn how to fly them. Hey, KD2 RFI back in there.
Man, I don't know. That's a really backwards approach, Bob. My dad was a certified flight instructor, so I grew up under the opposite concept. Never ditch the airplane if you don't have to. If you don't got to jump out, it's working, keep it working. Yeah, I think that'll be an excellent experience for you as well. I assume you mean Columbia County Airport. So that's awesome. Let's see, bees and snakes and the guy that was afraid of nothing except snakes. That's funny. I know a few people like that too. They're fearless except for like spiders will scare them, or it's always something that, like, I don't know, seems off for someone who's so fearless in general. Anyway, very good. Let me roll down the list here to Jed, KD2, KJU.
KJU. Yeah, I am.
Nice,
I
Justin.
guess expensive hobbies. It's not good. I also enjoy keeping fish and stuff like that, which initially is expensive, but once you kind of have everything, it's not really so bad. I was looking on Craigslist the other day, and I saw someone asking. I'm not sure how big the tanks were, but they were asking for more money, and these things were dirty and disgusting too. They didn't even bother to clean them out before they decided to take the picture and ask for, I don't know, I think it was $50 for a tank that you could get for maybe $30, and this tank was probably from the last decade. So, yeah. But keeping all my tanks are small now. I learned that the hard way the first time. Big tanks, big money. Although they are easier to keep. The bigger the tank is, it's a lot easier to keep your numbers in check. Your ammonia, your nitrates, everything like that. The bigger the tank, it's you're not going to have a terrible catastrophe as easily in a tiny tank. But yeah, I will definitely look. I have seen that place on 209 that you guys were talking about. Yeah, and they actually, I think, had some kind of ad on Craigslist as well. But for something that I'm kind of towing around, the amount of money to put into it just seemed a little bit much for me in the beginning. But you know, I really enjoyed having those bees there. It was a lot of fun, and it was to the point where I'd just sit there outside reading, and they just land on me, and you know, it was great. They didn't bother me at all. CJ, I do have some rosemary and some basil that I believe came from your neck of the woods. I was wondering if you possibly could identify the types. And yeah, I wanted to say to Bob, I guess the 8-foot python is that might be where I draw the line on you know, how much I think snakes are cute and not dangerous.
You did,
at that level of let's pause here.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, taking flying lessons sounds like a lot of fun as well. But yeah, I'm a fan of snakes. I don't mind them, and whenever I see them with the mower, I kind of chase them out of my way off the lawn. I never run over those things, or anything actually. Not a fan of that. I'm a mower, not a murderer.
Resolution.
So, yeah, I'll send it back to CJ, back to Nat, KD2, KJU.
Alright, this is KD2 and Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. Well, that's a lot to cover, Jed, but that's awesome. And I didn't realize that these smaller tanks were easier to manage than the larger tanks, but I suppose that makes sense. Little less mass, so to speak, when things get going in the wrong direction to counter. Well, thanks for sharing all that information. And yeah, you know, like Bob said, keep your eyes out. I hadn't thought of Craigslist, but I'm sure there's about a million other things like that, as well as he mentioned the Facebook thing. I think if you hunt around and you're patient and, you know, you save up some money so you're ready to go when you find a deal, and, you know, if you're able to go and meet somebody and offer a reasonable price, cash, I'll bet you can walk away with a pretty good deal. I got a killer deal on my stuff, but that was through a friend, actually, you know, Dave, K2GLV, one of his friends was getting rid of his bees and also his tractor, so I got a stellar deal on both the beehives and the tractor through that. But like I said, just, you know, hang in there, hunt around, and when the time is right, strike. And it'll be kind of like a snake in that way. Alright, let's roll on down to Ken, KD2TQS.
KD2TQS, pausing the pinballs in my head from your last comment. Not going to be commenting on that, just catching my breath going, oh yeah, no, don't go there, don't go there. We'll pass a comment back to you. I completely forgot about the Moxie myself until I was sitting here. Something in your comment made me play the video back in my head of the conversation that night. This idea, this image of gentian flipped in my head. How come you didn't find one of those? And I was like, oh, Moxie, ask him. So I completely forgot about it myself. So no worries on that one. Back to him.
Alright, well, I'm very glad to be reminded of that, because I still got to get back to that, and that would have completely slipped my mind had that not come back up. So I'm glad that our conversation triggered your thoughts to remind me to get back to something that I didn't want to forget. So that's fantastic. And all right, fair enough on the other comment. Thanks for coming along with this, Ken. All right, let's roll on down to Jim, K2BHM.
Thanks, CJ. No, not much to report here. Just reading the mail and learning about bees and multitasking. Noticing that some Russian website is trying to hack into one of my computers, so I'm going to put them on the blacklist. So, whatever. They never give up. Back to you, K2BHM.
Oh, no, that's true. Back when I had my website forum up, I ended up banning by country using the CSF firewall, and Russia and China were the first two to go. So I can sympathize with that. Those assaults just never stop once they find your IP. All right, let's roll on down to Matt, KB2SBT.
KB2SBT. expensive hobbies and flying.
Yeah.
Makes me remember a cartoon I saw where a dad is talking to his son, and he says, "Johnny, it's about time I taught you about money and how to spend it wisely and stuff like that." And then the next picture is little Johnny putting his money down at a flight school. Like there's like a window with a sign that says flight school over top of it. And the dad goes, "No, Johnny, no."
Yeah, right on. Yeah, actually, that reminds me, you probably have one of the most expensive hobbies of people that I know. Matt is a pilot and has his own aircraft and does some participation down in the old Rhinebeck Aerodrome shows. And he was also a commercial pilot, so he's a really good pilot and very enjoyable. There's a few YouTube videos of him flying, doing some stunt work, and that is awesome to see too if you've never seen it. So yeah, you have at least 3 of the most expensive hobbies, huh? All right, let's just take a pause here and see if there's any further check-ins. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. Nope. All right, no further check-ins recognized at this time. We'll roll back to the top of the list to KD2 RFI. Bob. Pass 3.
KD2 RFI, I've kind of found that no matter what hobby you get into, there's nothing cheap anymore, except maybe for fishing. Fishing, grab a pole, a couple dollars for worms, a few hooks, you're golden, nice easy day. So, but for me, it's more of a bucket list item. When I got into the bees, my father had done bees when I was young, and don't mind the noise in the background, the dogs are roughhousing. My father had done bees when I was young, and we moved from southern end of Ulster County up to northern end of Ulster County. He only brought a few hives with him, and I think one was taken by bears, one was overrun by mice, and the third one just collapsed, and he never really got back into it. But I remember the early days of doing it when we lived in Marlboro, and absolutely loved it. So as soon as I was able to get a piece of land and had the money to do it, I went in and got involved. So I went from 2 hives the first year to 5 hives the second year to, I think I was like 20 hives after that. It just like exploded on me. So it was pretty cool. A lot of money. Hudson Valley Bee Supply was really smiling every time I walked in the door. So I don't know. And then the skydiving and the flying, that's just bucket list items. I wish I started years ago, and never knew I'd be this into skydiving, but I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. It's just exhilarating. And the flying, just want to do. I'd like to get a license. So once I get licensed, maybe I'll teach somebody or get somebody to teach me how to do stunt flying. Hint, Matt. Anyway, I appreciate it. I'm probably going to be turning in after this, CJ. I got to get up early for work. One of my least favorite hobbies I have to do. Anyway, everyone have a good night. I wish you 7-3. And
I've got a video of one on my channel, Bomber.
KD2 RFI back in that. Wish
Stick
everyone
bug,
7-3.
walking stick. All right, very good. Well, thanks for running along with this, Bob, and I know how that whole work hobby is. That's my least favorite as well. Well, some of it is at least. Anyway, yeah, thanks for riding along with us. Always excellent conversation. Glad to hear you're doing well and things are progressing for you. And yeah, I grew up with my mom was keeping bees when I was a young kid. And so I got to be around that too, and my grandfather and great-grandfather both kept bees, I believe. So, yeah, a lot of it in the family, and it's great that it's back in the family again, and I get to kind of jump into it and carry on that tradition. All right, let's roll on down to Jed, KD2, KJU. Oh, and Bob, we'll consider you signed out, KD2 RFI. Thanks for joining the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. All right, Jed, KD2, KJU. It's all you. Okay, later cannabis resolution.
Yeah, sorry for the long-winded response before, but
that's okay.
Yeah, like Bob had mentioned, I have also started writing stuff down because I am a scatterbrain. So if I do write stuff down, I can actually remember them and, ask decent questions and reply decently. It just makes stuff a lot
That's funny,
easier. I've seen them before, but I need to get some like a waterproof a booklet on something like that, just because I just started doing it 2 weeks ago, and it's made things a lot easier for me. I have to say, it sounds really silly, but it really has helped me. Do you know what kind of rosemary that was that I have, possibly? KD2, KJU, back to net.
All right. I can't say that I've seen it or remember seeing it, so it would be hard to identify, but even if I saw it, I'm not sure I could identify it. I think you're probably giving me a little too much credit. I think you're looking to identify a rosemary and a basil, and I'm not sure I could tell you what specific variety it is by looking at it. But did you want to send a picture along or something?
Oh, I apologize. This came from you as a culling. Both of them. And a couple of them were passed along to me. I'm sorry. Now I understand why you're confused. I apologize for not explaining that fully in the beginning. Back to you.
Okay, I still don't know what variety it is. I'm sorry to say. It's rosemary. I don't know which one. You might be able to, look at pictures online and compare it and look at the phenotypical differences and be able to see it. But I honestly don't know. It came to me 10 or 11 or 12 years ago, and I've just been propagating it since. I think one is a French version, and the other is more of a normal version. But I don't even remember what all the varieties are, to be perfectly honest. I just kind of have what I have, and I keep propagating it. And if I come across another one that I like a lot, I'll seek that out and add that to my collection, so to speak. But unfortunately, I don't know which one that is. So I'll put it back to you. Thank you, Bees and Bikinis. Have a good night.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to know because it's just a lot stronger and tastier, and it's held up very well. And I've been very impressed with it. I liked rosemary before, but I have really fallen in love with the flavor now. So I'm really trying to keep that going as long as I can. I have a little garden planted right now. It's not too much, maybe 15 by 15, something like that. And I wanted to put corn in, but I might be past that date now. But yeah, I'll have some decent peppers and tomatoes at the very least. I need to cut a lot of trees down if I really want to expand where I can grow. Not sure if I want to do that yet. But how's everything going over on your farm? Actually, let me pass it back to you, and I'm not sure if KD2 KJU back to net.
All right, very good. On the rosemary, that may be due to the trace mineral nutritional influence that plant has. Maybe that's why it's performing so well. But I don't know, because I don't know what your current care system is for it. But I'm glad you're enjoying it, and you can just take cuttings and propagate those. It's really easy to do. And then you had another question for me, and let me see if I can pull that back up in my head. I don't think I can. What was the last question?
KJU. CJ, it's out of my head already too. See, I didn't write it down. That's the problem.
No worries. All right, let's roll on down to Ken, KD2 TQS.
KD2 TQS. Kind of have to keep it short because I keep running through in my head the two topics to try and stay on topic with. Snake story would not be a good one for the net. Many people might not appreciate that. And the one, although it's 100% accurately historical for both medical history and herbal history, the other piece about gentian is kind of hard for me to put into family-friendly terminology. So I'm going to have to pass on that, and I'll just pass the conversation back to Ned.
All right, very well. Understood and understood, Ken, and appreciate your discretion. Thank you for participating anyway, and thanks at least for the thoughts. Let's go down to Jim, K2BHM.
Thanks, CJ. I'm learning a lot tonight. So I know that, like, wines are, the grapes are greatly influenced by the amount of water and the pH of the soil and nitrogen levels and so forth and so on, and how the season went and so forth. So this particular wine from 2018 was good, but 2019 wasn't so good and so forth. And I'm starting to see now that crops like basil and rosemary and whatever the herbs and so forth could also be greatly influenced by the dietary habits of the neighborhood cats. Never mind. KGBHM.
I got you. Yeah, sure, it could. All depends on what the neighborhood cats are eating, and of course that also depends on what they're eating, and what that's eating is eating, and so on, down the food chain, up the food chain, however you want to say that. But fair enough. All right, and then we're down to Matt, KB2SBT.
Yeah, KB2SBT. Yeah, interesting thing happened, and I don't know if you know anything about this, CJ, but we have a German Shepherd, and this is the second time it got sprayed by a skunk.
Oh, no.
Last year it got sprayed in the
no.
face, and she smelled for a few days afterwards, despite washing with a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
But this time she had it cornered, and Deanna saw this in real time. It sprayed, and like German Shepherds do, they always try and catch, they're shoveling snow, they'll try and catch it in their mouth or whatever.
Oh, no.
Well, the spray went right into her mouth. She ran away, and she was foaming at the mouth profusely for a while. But then eventually her mouth just started watering, she recovered, and afterwards there was almost no smell at all. It was all canceled out. And it smelled around the property for a little bit, but that went away pretty quickly too. And I don't know, just very strange. We're prepared for another 2 or 3 days of skunk smell, but the dog barely smells at all right now. So I don't know. Back to you, KB2SBT.
Wow, I guess in the scheme of that whole mess, you could have asked for a better outcome as far as the smell going away so quickly. When my cat clone got sprayed, I think he must have got it right in the mouth or right in the face the one night, because I smelled the skunk and I came out and the skunk was already gone, and poor Cloney was like face down in the grass, like just snot and nose and eyes and ears and mouth and everything just running, and I just felt so bad for him. But he stank for a couple of weeks after that, but all you can do is let him air out. But it's boy, right in the face or in the mouth. No, thank you. I will pass on all of that. All right, let's see. It's just about 10 minutes left here for the net, and so we're going to go back through and do some final rounds here. We'll just pause here and see if there's anybody who wants to jump in for a final check-in for the net. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. If there's any further check-ins, please call now. Alrighty, no further check-ins recognized at this time. Let's roll back to the top of the list, which, let's see, Bob checked out, so we're with Jed, KD2, KJU. Catnip.
KJU. Matt, I think that's your name. Apologize if that's wrong. I have shepherds as well, and when you were saying that they, try to catch everything, I almost lost it over here. I thought that was pretty funny. I'm glad your dog's okay. I haven't seemed to find any skunks or pretty much everything left the property once I had both the dogs on here. Deer still come through every once in a while, but they, I would say my training has paid off, and both times they've started to chase the deer, they stopped. In New York, I believe it's legal to shoot a dog if it's chasing deer. And who's there to say it wasn't? So, there's that. CJ, I wanted to ask if it was too late to put some corn in the ground. Am I past that point, or and also, what could I put in the ground right now? Because I ripped up some ground and it's not doing anything right now. Back to net, 82 KJU.
You could still get some sweet corn in. You're going to want to go for a shorter variety, and you're going to want to provide adequate nutrition, and you're going to want to plant it pretty much ASAP. I am still planting. I have another planting ahead of me in early July here, but I'm running accelerated nutrition, and I also still hold the understanding that I might lose it to an early frost or something like that. So you can, but it's definitely pushing the edge of the season. You can still do stuff like beets and carrots and potatoes and I don't know what other kind of stuff you're growing, but there's plenty of options. And then you could do fall crops starting about the 7th or somewhere between the 7th and the 15th of July. You could be sowing fall crops like I was just talking about, carrots and stuff. You could still pull off some squash or zucchini. There's all kinds of stuff that you could still pull. So I'll just put it back to you, see if that satisfies your question. No, chasing deer.
KJU. Absolutely.
Deer.
Squash and zucchini or something
Not that makes it
never
better.
liked before, I guess 2 years ago when I grew it myself and had so much of it, I had to figure out a way to like it, and now I absolutely love it, so that's excellent to hear. Thank you. Back to you, KD2KJU.
All right, very good, very good. Let's see, we'll roll on down to Ken, KD2 TQS.
KD2TQS, still in the mental conundrum of how to convert to appropriate. Still can't come up with an answer, so that's back to that.
Well, that's perfectly okay, Ken, and I appreciate your efforts anyway. Thanks for joining us on the net. All right, let's roll on down to Jim, K2BHM.
Thanks, CJ, K2BHM. My sister did have an interesting experience with a skunk. Years ago, they had a trailer up at a resort up at Sacadoga Reservoir, and they would go up there for the weekends. And their dog, a Doberman, Cocho, when they would get up there, they would open up the car door, the dog would go out and run around like crazy, and by the time they got the kids and all the supplies and all that into the trailer and settled down for the night, the dog was done and would come in. And so one night they get up there and he chases up the skunk and gets sprayed. And they did the tomato juice and V8 and dishwashing liquid. Nothing worked. Absolutely nothing worked. And from that point on, when they went up there and they let the dog out, the dog would take off like a shot, catch a skunk, and kill it. Problem solved. K2BHM.
All right, well, I guess if he gets to the skunk before the skunk can spray, that's a win. Interesting story, Jim. Thanks for sharing. All right, and then we're down to Matt, KB2SBT.
KB2 SBT, yeah, German Shepherds and wheels is the other thing. They can't resist the turning tire.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I got for tonight, so I'll say 73 to everybody. KB2 SBT.
All right, yeah, wheels too. They have sort of an OCD thing in them, but they are excellent, awesome dogs. All right, I think that brings us to the end of the list, and I think we're going to go ahead and wrap the net up here. Thanks to everyone who participated. Let's see, I got a few announcements here. This is KD2 IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. This has been a session of the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net, provided and sponsored by the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club, located in beautiful Ulster County, New York, here on the OMARC 146.805 megahertz machine. All right, let me do some announcements quick. Daily at 8:35 a.m. We have an informal meet net run by Paul, AC2UQ. That's in the mornings. And then evenings, we have the 6:30 p.m. slightly more formal daily net. I hope you'll join us for those if you haven't, or if you have time or interest. And then tonight, you're just finishing up the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. That's at 9 p.m. every Sunday night. And then on Thursday nights is the Thursday Night Net run by Dave, K2JLV. And that's a more technical net related to amateur radio and computers and more technical things along those lines. All of these nets are excellent nets. I hope you go check them out. If you want to find out more about our club, you can do that by visiting our website at www.omarcclub.org. That's whiskey.Oscar Mike Alpha Romeo Charlie Lima Uniform Bravo Oscar Romeo Golf. Thanks to all those who participated. This is KD2 IIN saying 73 and inviting you to join us again next week. The net is officially closed and this frequency is back under regular amateur use. Thanks to all those who participated. This is KD2 IIN saying 73, and I will see you guys all later. I will be clear. Oh, it's a mouthful to close those nets.
Thanks for running the net, CJ. KD2 KJU will be clear.
So, up and coming, for those who aren't familiar, I think everybody here is a Portal fan
Enjoy
anyway.
it, guys. K2BH, I'm clear.
But up and coming at 10 o'clock is the Paranormal Portal. Here's a link to that. Thanks, Geeky. Yeah, it was. We covered a nice range of topics, and everybody got a turn. That's a nice number of people to have check into a net. You're not trying to like just struggle through and get through everybody. We had some nice conversation and excellent check-ins. Always enjoy all those guys' comments and thoughts. So yeah, it was a good one. And thank you everyone who came here through the YouTube chat. And I'm sorry I don't always pay attention to the chat. It's quite a bit of attention to focus on what people are saying and maintain logs and that sort of thing. So if I missed any questions or comments, I apologize. You can always shoot them to me later. Trying to scroll back through, but I just can't keep up with all this. Anyway, looks like everyone's having a great chat and a good time in here, and I appreciate the support. Yeah, the catnip oil is excellent stuff, Bomber. That's what I used for tick repellent on my cats. One of the things I used. Yeah, I'm still not jumping out if it's not on fire either, Geeky. I don't know, I actually would like to try skydiving, maybe once. The one I really want to try is hang gliding. I think that would be a lot of fun, but that's another expensive, risky hobby, and I frankly don't have time to go chasing any more hobbies, and I certainly don't have money to go chasing expensive hobbies. So, yeah, minus the fire. I'm with you, Bomber. No need to add fire to the mix. You can buy any of those essential oils in giant drums, Chris Jarvis. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? Especially when you consider how much plant material it actually takes to make essential oils. Some of them take a tremendous amount of plant material to make even like an ounce. And yeah, you can buy 40-gallon drums of it. Makes you wonder who's distilling that much. Jump into a barrel. There you go, Bomber. There you go. Just go for a swim in the catnip oil every half hour to keep the skeeters off you. Hang gliding looks amazing. Yeah, I think that would be fun. I've been up in a glider plane before. My dad took me down to Wurstboro Airport for that. That was cool. I think I was like 12 or 14 years old. That was awesome, but I really want a hang glider. Try hang glider. That would be really cool. Anyway, Paranormal Portal is about to start in 1 minute here, and I don't want to hold that up. And I'm going to go start a cup of coffee because I need a cup of coffee here. Yeah, you could. You could swim in it. It'd be awesome. Anyway, thanks everybody supporting the stream. Appreciate it. Appreciate all your excellent comments and chat. And hope we'll see you all next week. And I'll try and do a live stream Thursday night, the interactive questions and answers stream. I try to stick to for Thursdays. That's also at 9 p.m. So good night, everyone. Thanks for rolling along with us, and hope we'll see you next time.